Hi there, I'm Laura. Welcome to the Makeup Hunter. In today's video I'm going to do a makeup look using a lot of the makeup that I got for Christmas and at the end of 2020. I did a collective haul in my previous video and this is using items from that haul. So if you'd like to see how I got this look, then please keep watching. Okay, so let's get started with my makeup. So the first thing I've done, which I've actually already done, is apply a little bit of MAC Strobe cream in Pink Light. I've just applied this as I would a primer all over my face, just to give myself a bit of a glow and a bit of a boost of hydration, as you can use strobe cream as a moisturiser, so it's just given me that bit of extra hydration. Strobe cream is in my project pan, so I'm pretty much using this every time I do my makeup at the moment. Then I'm going to go in with the Becca under eye brightener. This is just, I've talked about this before on my channel, it's just a salmony pale pink concealer to go under the eyes that brightens. I absolutely love this product. If I wasn't on a low buy, I would be buying multiple backups of this at the moment, because Becca Cosmetics have just announced that they're actually closing for good on September, at the end of September this year, because like I imagine a lot of companies, the effects of COVID and other, you know, contributing factors has meant that they can no longer afford to keep the business open, which is such a shame, because Becca Cosmetics were like the pioneers of the highlighter. Like, I mean, everybody remembers Becca Opal, Becca Moonstone, Champagne Pop, so it's a real shame that they're having to close their doors, but completely understandable. Anyway, I've just put that under my eyes, just blended it in with my fingers, and then I'm going to apply foundation on top of it. If you can hear any strange noises, my dog is milling about my bedroom. He's not quite sure what to do with himself, so until he gets comfortable there's probably going to be some noises. Right, next thing I'm going to do is go in with Makeup Forever. This is the Ultra HD foundation stick. This is a total classic product, and this is another item that's in my project pan. I don't have a huge amount of this left. It'll probably last me a fair old while, but I love this foundation, but I wouldn't repurchase it probably. As I've got older, I've started to like more sheer coverage, and this is quite a full coverage, very dewy foundation, so I'm just going to straight from the stick apply this to my skin. I use this when I want my foundation to look flawless, but have that radiant quality to it, and as I'm filming I like to go in with something a little bit heavier duty. So I've just drawn that all over my skin, and now I'm gonna blend it firstly with the MAC 159S foundation brush. This is just a duo fibre foundation brush, and then once I've worked most of that in with the brush, I'll go over with my beauty blender. Okay, so I've blended that in with the foundation brush and then just gone over it with a damp beauty blender just to get rid of any of the brush marks. And then I'm just going to go in with some concealer. The concealer that I'm using, again in my project pan, is the Colourpop Pretty Fresh in the shade Fair 15W. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that under my eyes. I don't use excessive amounts of concealer because I've got the Becca brightener under there already. So I just put a little on the inner corners and a little on the outer corners here, just to aid in lifting that area. And then just to be a little bit extra today, I'll just put a little bit on the centre of my face. And then I'm going to blend that out again with the Beauty Blender. Okay, so my concealer's now completely blended out, and what I want to do now is just set my under eye area pretty much immediately after blending the concealer to make sure that it doesn't move. And to do that, I'm going to use this powder. This is the Inglot Freedom System. It's the HD Sculpting Powder in the highlighting shade. It's just a slightly radiant pressed powder. It doesn't have any shimmer in it, it's just ever so slightly luminescent. So I'm going to use a MAC, this number's rubbed off this brush, but it's this MAC brush, and I'm just going to apply that under my eyes. That powder is also in my project pan, and as you can see from the shot of it, I have got rid of a sizable chunk of it, which is why it's in my project pan. And I'm also just going to set immediately just the areas where I'm most likely to crease. Now before I set the rest of my face, I'm just going to do a little bit of cream bronzing. This is the Hoola Quickie Contour Stick. On the majority of times that I do my makeup, I don't contour and bronze. I tend to just use a cream contour slash bronzer to do the both. So what I'm going to do is use this and apply it in the areas that I would contour. So sort of on my cheekbones but slightly above. And I'm also going to put it on the areas where I would bronze in the sun. I've put a little bit under my bottom lip just to help bring that forward. And to blend that in, I'm going to use the Zoeva 125 stippling brush. This is my absolute favourite for cream bronze and contour. It does the job so quickly and easily. And I'm not, because I'm treating this more as a bronzer than a contour, I'm not too precious about where I blend it. But what I do try to do is when I blend on my cheekbones, I try and bring it upwards rather than downwards, so that it doesn't pull my face down. The idea is to lift the face rather than drag it down. And then I'm just going to blend that under there and then just across my nose. And that just nicely warms up my whole complexion. Now, to set the rest of my face, I'm going to use the MAC Mineralize Skin Finish. This is in Light Plus. I've had this for longer than I'm happy to admit, and I am trying to pan it. It's in my project pan, and I think I may see the start of a pan. So anyway, you can tell I'm a makeup hoarder because I get excited when I start to see a pan in things. So what I'm going to do is use the same brush that I used to powder my under eyes, and I'm going to do my powder trick, which is to basically just apply very lightly, not all over my face. I'm basically just trying to deposit the powder onto my skin. And then what I do is take a powder puff. This is the Brushworks powder puff. And a setting spray. The one I have been loving to use with this trick is the Cover FX Illuminating setting spray. This has got like a mica, like a glitter pigment in it. Well, a shimmer rather than a glitter. And I'm just going to spray my face, and then with the powder puff I'm going to press over my skin, and this just helps press the powder into the skin as well as the setting spray, and gets rid of any powderiness and helps distribute the shimmer that's in the spray. And you may not see anything on camera or know why I do that, but it's just a little trick that I started doing randomly one day and I can't stop doing it. I love how it makes my skin look. I find that I have to use a lot less powder than I would normally. My makeup stays in place and it's set down, but it just looks lovely and natural and radiant, which is the aim I'm always going for. Okay, now it's time to do my eyebrows, and I really don't do much with my brows. They're quite dark naturally. I also tint them, and I keep them quite long and natural. So all I'm going to do is use a little bit of the Illamasqua Brow Cake in Gaze. This is a very dark cool tone brown, and just a little angled brush. This is just an Eco Tools one, and I'm just going to apply a small amount of this just roughly through my brows. I focus it mainly at the bottom of my brow where I have the most sparseness, and I don't, like I say, I don't spend too much time on them because I'm about to wax them up anyway. All this does is add a little bit of colour and just fills in, like I say, a little bit of that sparseness that I have along the bottom of the brow. Now what I'm going to do is, as an alternative to brow soap, I have discovered the Got2b Glued range by Schwarzkopf. This is a spiking wax for hair, but I use this through my brows. It's absolutely amazing at pushing the brow up, holding it there and giving it that fluffy laminated brow look. To use this, I use a little disposable spoolie, and I just use a tiny bit of this wax, get it onto the spoolie, and then in the lid I just mush that around the spoolie so it's evenly distributed. And then what I'm going to do is just brush through my brows. Now you can see that the wax itself is white, but it doesn't stay white, it dries clear. So once the wax is in the brow and they're in the position that I like, I turn the spoolie round, use the handle and just push the brows flat against my skin. Now what you don't want to do is push too far up because it will disturb the foundation. So I literally just run it across the hairs themselves rather than the actual skin. So that's that one done. And then I should still have enough product on the spoolie to do the other one. Okay, so now I'm ready to move on to eyeshadow. Just to prep my eyes for the eyeshadow, I've just laid down a little bit of MAC Laying Low in the paint pot form. This is it. It's just a warm light coloured brown, and I've just put that all over my eyelid with a big fluffy brush. And now I'm going to move on to eyeshadow, and the palettes that I've picked out for today's makeup from the makeup that I got for Christmas is one of my favourites. This is the Viseart Petit Fours in Framboise. It's just a beautiful little quad of muted pinks that is just so beautiful. And I've also picked out, also from Viseart, I might use the two together, the Mink Set Entendu palette, which is this one. This is more of a classic me palette, nice warm browns with some peachy tones in there as well. I think what I'm going to do is I am definitely going to mix the two together. I'm going to start with the lightest shade from the Framboise palette. I think I'll bring you in a little bit first. There we go, up close and personal. So I'm going to use the lightest matte in the palette, and I'm going to use a nice fluffy brush for that. My favourite brush for transition shades is the Colourpop E2 brush. It's just a nice domed fluffy brush, and I'm just going to take that shade. Now these are super pigmented, these eyeshadows, which means there is quite a bit of kick up in the pan. I'm not fussed by kick up, but I know some people are, so just bear that in mind. So I'm going to run this through and above my crease. Now, I've said before, I'm sure in videos, that the eye looks I tend to go for are nothing complicated. I don't really do cut creases or fancy graphic liner or shapes like that. I like to keep it quite simple, quite blown out, and I'm usually wearing warm tones. I do like to take my shadow out quite fast, so what I'm going to do now is just take that same shade and just sweep that out to just lift the eye. And because it's a light shade and you're using a big fluffy brush, it doesn't matter if you're sort of taking it far out. So now I'm just going to do the same on the other side and try not to block what I'm doing with the mirror. You can build and build this shade because it's just a little bit darker than my skin tone really, which is perfect as my transition shade. I bought these palettes specifically because I wanted some little palettes that were just, I didn't have to think too much about. I could just grab the 4 shades, do a look and be done with it. And this one, I got the 2, I got this and Praline, which I'll have already discussed in my video about this collective haul. And that one is my favourite. I just absolutely love the tones in that. Now what I'm going to do is take the Mink Set Untitled palette, and I'm going to use this warm brown here. I'm going to use the same brush because I want this to be still quite blown out. It's quite a rich colour, so if I used a smaller, denser brush I could get, you know, more of a darker intense look, but I want to keep it quite soft. So I'm just going to put some of that on the brush. I'm sticking to the same brush as I said, and I'm going to start to build this. As you can see, it's super pigmented, but I'm using a light hand and the fluffy brush, and we're just basically doing what I did with the first shade, but keeping it a bit more localized. And then once most of the pigment is off the brush, I'm just going to again bring that quite far out. And that's sort of how I want to focus. That's kind of how I want to leave it. So I'm going to repeat the same on the other side. Okay, that's it for that. And then to bring some of that pink, I'm going to take a smaller brush. This is the Colourpop E9, and I'm going to use that bottom matte shade in the little Framboise palette, and I'm just going to add that along my lower lash line. Like that. The faces we pull when we put makeup on. I apologise if you can hear road noises, my window is open, so you may hear a little bit of outside noise. So what I'm going to do is with that focus, with that same brush, I'm going to take that same pink and I'm going to add that to my upper lash line just a little. Just to add some of that pink onto the upper eye. And this is very subtle, but it just adds a little bit of that colouring. There we go. Now, just in case I have any fallout, I'm just going to take my little powder brush and just run that under my eyes. And for the shimmer, I think I'm going to go for the larger palette. And I think I'm going to go for, I think I'm going to be quite boring, and I'm going to go for this one here. I'm going to use my finger. The Viseart shadows definitely apply better with a finger. The shimmers in the Petit Four are absolutely stunning, but they are incredibly sparkly and have a lot of shimmer fallout, which I don't mind. As I said, fallout doesn't bother me, but it does leave like a glitter explosion on your face. So for those, I would definitely use a pigment or glitter glue, and I just don't want to do that tonight. So I'm just going to use the more subtle shimmers from the larger palette. And this goes with the transitions shades beautifully, and I like to bring my shimmers up, so I pack most of the colour on the lid and then I just run it above the crease in the inner part of the eye. I'm going to repeat that on the other side. And you can still see, hello, thank you, you can still see the pink on the lid, but I'm just going to intensify that a little bit with the same brush, a little more of the shadow, just to bring some of that back that we might have covered with the shimmer. And then I'm also going to take the first brush I used, the big fluffy brush, and just run it above the shadows to help blend the shimmer in as well. So I'm going to do the same on the other eye. And that's the eye look finished. Super simple, but really, oh my god, this focus really, I think, looks lovely, soft, pretty. So now we can move on to liner and lashes. Okay, so for Christmas and towards the end of 2020, I did have one eyeliner which I would have showed in my previous video, but I don't feel it's going to go with this look, so I'm just going to use a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury Colour Chameleon in Amethyst Aphrodisiac. This is just a lovely purpley plum eye crayon. And I'm going to use the MAC Extended Play Giga Black Lash Mascara, and I've got this little sample of Charlotte Tilbury Full Flat Lashes which I'm trying to use up, so I'm going to use this on the top and this on the bottom. So I'll do that and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've done my eyeliner and mascara. Now that's done, I'm just going to zoom you in again so you can see the full effect of the eyes finished. And you can also see the lovely glow that my skin has, and I haven't got any highlighter or anything on. That's just the effect of the products that I've put on my skin, like my base products. So that's the eyes done. Now I'll zoom you out and we'll do highlight, blush and lips. So I didn't have a highlighter for Christmas or at the end of last year because I have so many of them already. and I have rediscovered the Revolution, the I Heart Revolution blushing hearts. I had these in my makeup artist kit that I kept for clients, and I went through that kit and sort of dug everything out, because I'm not going to be doing it as a career now. So I just sort of dug out a lot of that makeup and just sort of reintegrated it into my own makeup, and I forgot how amazing these highlighters are. They do a massive range of colours for all different skin tones. Some, I mean, they say blushing hearts, some are marketed as a blush, but to me they're just a beautiful highlighter. So it's got the 3 stripes, and I'm just going to sort of brush across the 3, and I'm using a Morphe M438 for this, because I want quite I don't want a stripe, I want it quite diffused, so I'm using a larger brush for that. So I'm putting that on the high points of my cheek and around above my brow. And these are just a lovely soft subtle highlighter, like a lit from within glow. They still pack a punch, but they don't have any chunky glitters in them, which is what I love. I really am not into glittery highlighters. So put that down my nose, on my chinny chin chin, and between my brows. So there we go, that's highlighter done. The only thing I don't like about these is the smell, but I think it's the packaging. I can smell it. It's like just like a paper smell. Now the blush that I had for Christmas, and at the end of this was actually a Christmas present. Obviously I will have discussed all this makeup in detail in my previous video, but this is the Dior Holiday Collection blush, and this is in Golden Nights, and it just looks like this. It's a beautiful shimmery blush. So I'm going to pop some of that on, and I'm going to use the Zoeva 105 Luxe Highlight brush to do that. I like this brush for blush because you can get a real precise application. So I'm just going to smile and put that on the upper apples of my cheek rather than right there, just towards the top, and blend it into my highlighter. I always like to do blush after highlight, because I find if you do highlight last, you can sort of see the stripe on the skin, and I don't think it's particularly flattering. I think you have the, you know, the distinct possibility of looking a little bit like Go Faster stripes with highlight. So just blend that in, and that's a beautiful, I absolutely love this blush. It's the perfect go with anything, very flattering, healthy looking blush shade in my opinion. Okay, now the very last thing I have to do is my lips. The lip liner that I got towards the end of last year is the Victoria Beckham Lip Definer in number 4. This is a slightly deeper shade than my lips, so I thought it would be absolutely perfect to go with everything. So I'm just going to apply some of this. These lip liners are so easy to apply. They're so soft and creamy. They're a traditional pencil liner, so you do need to sharpen them, but they go on like a retractable one. They've got almost like a gel consistency to them. So the lipstick that I'm going to apply with that is one of my favourite lipsticks that I had at the end of last year, and this is the NARS. This is the matte. This is one of the matte formula. They do a matte, a satin and a sheer. My favourites are the matte and the satin, and this one is in the shade Erotic Adventure. Again, it's like a deeper My Lips But Better colour, and I just think it looks so good with every look, and I find it's a really classy looking lipstick. It's an absolute perfect match for the lip definer. So that is the finished look. Let's just sort my bonnet out. There we go. So that's my makeup using all the items, well, a selection of the items that I had for Christmas and at the end of 2020. I'll bring you in a little bit closer so you can have a look close up. I just love makeup and what it does for my mood and my confidence, and I absolutely love this look. I feel chef's kiss, tip top. So I'll zoom you back out now. We're a little bit too close for comfort. So that was the makeup with this lovely array of makeup products. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel to see more from me. I am planning on filming a lot more in the coming days, weeks and months. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Lots of love. Bye.